Hey, party people, welcome back to MVM. 2025 is here. And I'll tell you what, I am really excited to talk about 2025 games because games have delivered that are already going to be at the top of the solo 2025 list. 2024, though, I didn't have a solo list. Why? Well, your boy don't have any excuses, okay? That's just what it is. I didn't have a solo 2024 list. I will tell you that at the top, you're going to definitely have Primal. You're going to have Elder Scrolls, which I guess is technically a 2025 release. Harry Kiri. There's just a whole bunch of solo games that were in there. I could go on and on forever, but I didn't get a chance to play all of them to finish out the year, so that was a problem, and I didn't want to just make up stuff. So I try not to we'll try not to do that. I mean, Fate Forge was absolutely amazing. Tidal Blades 2, absolutely amazing. I'm just trying to think of all the ones off the top of my head. But there's a lot of great games to finish off, especially if you're a big box game fan for solo and co-op. Galileo Galilei, which is coming soon, that was a good one for 2024. Moving on. So for 2025, I'm going to bring to you several games. Start with 3. They came out at the tail end, and then we have one delivering now. So let's just go ahead and talk about them. We'll pop in right away. Seti, number 1. Seti is a game that is my game of the year for multiplayer, and for solo, we're going to talk about that a little bit. Now, it's a very, very modular game. You are taking action selections. You are taking a worker, a placement of an orbiter kind of thing here, and you're going to be going and scanning out to unlock part of the board. So you dominate that. You unlock something. You're going to gather that data. Data is something that you can unlock to take actions, free actions as well. You're trying to upgrade your board. That's another way, through popularity. And then you're also trying to orbit or land on planets in our solar system. And when you do that, you're going to be unlocking things on your board. So all this unlocking. Why are we unlocking stuff? Well, we're unlocking things because we want to bring in planets, okay? So once we get, aliens. Oh, Lord Jesus. All right, here we go. So we're trying to bring in aliens, and the different aliens have different abilities. So every one of those you bring in, they're going to add different ways to score, and they're also going to add different kind of wrinkles to the gameplay. And it's kind of a pacing for the game, but you may not even unlock one of the two. There are five in the game, and you put them in there randomly. So it's kind of like you're relearning an experience, and over multiple plays, you will probably have played all of them, but it's a combination of those two that will change the gameplay up every time. Now, this game does have an AI, and I believe it has different levels. So you have different levels, I believe 1 through 4. On the back of each board is one, and this one is kind of like it's got kind of a lapping thing. It's kind of got like an anger meter in a sense. And what your job is to complete mission tiles and kind of keep pace, because it's completing these things, but it's also got some ways that it unlocks, kind of keeps unlocking things and doing things super fast as it angers and goes around. So you want to make sure that, and I'm using that term just because it kind of it gives you an idea of how fast it ramps up in a sense. So over the course of several rounds of the game, you are going to try to basically outcompete for these missions. So you want to make sure that you're completing these tasks and also beat the AI, try to score many points as possible. And by the way, let me know how you feel about that kind of stuff in the comments below, because sometimes, some people don't necessarily like beat your score. Some people don't like to have objectives and beat your score. Some people like to have AI beat objectives and beat your score. It doesn't matter. Let me know in the comments below, and let's make it like a tier list. Like a tier list of what you like, top to bottom. Because sometimes people just go, beat your own score. Absolutely not. We're going to talk about a game that has that pretty much, but it just depends on the experience for me, actually. It just depends on how the game is built. Is it built to score points, or is it built to find objectives? And this game has a little bit of both, specifically when you play solo. And with that, what is my final opinion on this? While this game is the game of the year for me, I would tell you for solo, you might want to wait and see, okay? Simply because this game is very modular, and like its brother or cousin or whatever on the roster, Lost Ruins of Arnak, it has this ability to go to a way higher another level. For example, Lost Ruins of Arnak only got better and better and went higher to the greatness of greats because they added and added content to it, and then they even added a solo and co-op campaign. And I feel like that's what this game is going to do over time. It's going to add to its awesomeness. There's opportunities to add the scoring, the more alien races alone, different cards, because the cards have this wonderful little multi-use situation that gives the tight resources in the game this great decisions. And I think that works for solo and multiplayer. But it's still one of those things. It's just like you're going to be learning that, and you may not be that good at it. So the get good portion of it is going to go pretty heavy. But there's also more cards that can come into play. They can probably even add another soul system. I mean, they can do all kinds of stuff here with this game and add mechanics, and that comes through with the aliens. So maybe you want to pump the brakes for now. That's a good choice. But you'll probably have these mini expansions that you'll see, and you'll say, hey, man, this is starting to ramp up. I think that's where this game is going to be at. Next game. Civolution. Okay, so Civolution was one of my top 10 games of the year, but I will also say it is one of my most disappointing in the sense that I thought it was going to be home run, easy peasy, lemon squeezy game of the year for me. When I first heard about it, did my research on it, saw some initial plays, I was like, this is going to be game of the year ASAP. It's not, this is a formality, okay? I was wrong, but the game ended up being great. As a matter of fact, it took me playing it multiple times to even see like, okay, this game it's big, it's awesome, it's long, it's medium to heavy, it's not light. Don't let anybody tell you it's light. It's easy once you get used to it. It gets easier, it is not easy, okay? Don't let them tell you that. Anyway, Civolution is a game where you're going to be using selection using dice. You're going to be rolling and kind of expanding your civilization very abstractly over this board that you're going to kind of simulate putting it around. Each area in this region, or the pieces that you're putting together, has resources on it, and you're trying to populate yourselves and move across civilization, right? So you're doing that, but you're doing that through dice actions. So you'll be placing 2 dice on things and kind of trying to decide what you want to do with those dice so they match up and take actions. And over the game, you can develop those actions twice. You also have things where you can develop your kind of like your mindset. That happens and it contributes to stuff as well. And then you also have cards that will represent you developing yourself. Once again, very abstractly, not 100% like this civilization thing. The cards will be like part of your tableau, which will give you some abilities that are permanent. It'll give you a lot of different things, but ultimately it's going to go tuck into your board in the middle and give you points for rows and how high it goes. And that's where you want to get us insane amount of points. Now your AI is doing things to spread around as well. It has these rules that you're going to have as you flip the cards. It's going to tell you what they're doing. But I will tell you, when they're talking about movement and the reproduction part, there's going to be a lot of if-thens on how they travel, and you got to watch out for that. Now, I don't know how you feel about this, but sometimes these AIs with the if-then, if-that, and then this and that, they get a little for me, especially when you play heavier games. Like I remember a game called Merv. It was like that. If-then, if-then, if-then. Too many if-thens start to get to me, even though I figured it out. The road to figuring it out was way too much. This one is like sort of in the middle of that. I feel like you could get it, but it's kind of iffy. Let me know how you feel about that. But anyways, this game, you are basically placing the dice, trying to make choices. I will tell you there is some mitigation in the game. Also, the dice, when you run out, you kind of refresh them. There's a timer in the game that's around that. The computer will amp that up for you, so they're trying to move the game along. You're also going to have events that happen that kind of are out of your control, and they will move this weather thing up and down, which can take away from your troops. But there's also different ways to score. It'll never feel the same. That's the thing. It's not a samey game. You're going to have to change your strategy up. You're going to feel different every time. The randomness of the cards coming out, there's like 6 decks that are out at once. The randomness of that alone will steer you a certain way, but it also will limit you because sometimes that doesn't kind of fulfill your combo situation. And that is where the challenge of this game comes in. Are you down for that kind of stuff? I tell people like that's where the crux of it is like, are you down for not having 100% control of what's going on? In a Euro game, especially a long one, this is going to take about 90 minutes to 2 hours. To not feel like I'm controlling my destiny, it's a little tough, okay? It's a little tough. But I would tell you this game is worth it. The thing is how heavy do you want to go? And this one is not a light game. I know a lot of people are skewing towards lighter games nowadays, but this one is worth its weight. It is an expensive game. It's like 80 bucks. I think it's like 80 bucks. That's because there's a lot in that box. And if you're playing at multiplayer, I'll just warn you ahead of time. The more players you play, the more hours you're adding. We're talking like 3 to 4 hours total if you're playing out a 4-hour game. And that's assuming everybody at least has an idea how the game plays. Otherwise, you're going to be explaining just the actions alone for a good 30 minutes, even if you get good at it. Just keep all that in mind. For someone who is learning to do a pretty good job with all the examples in the rule book, it seems pretty easy to translate, but you're going to have that solo book bent open, solo part of the rule book bent open, looking at that page again. If then what? If then what? Okay, so then if it's that and that, it's a thing. It's a thing. You're going to have to learn it. Maybe you don't have time for that. I do recommend it, though. Civolution. Next up is the game I've been waiting to talk about you for years. For years. And here you are. Here you are. Thank you. You're finally here. That is Arydia, folks. That's right. Arydia. This one here, I've been waiting. I'm not kidding you when I say maybe 6, 7 years, right? 3 years before the campaign, then the campaign, and then 3 years for delivery. Man, shout out to that team. Okay, shout out to that team, Far Off Games. They executed, and I'm going to have a full-on review of this game, full all deck in to show you the gameplay experience. I'm going to try to explain it here in a very condensed way so that you at least have an idea what you get into. First of all, I should say, this game is like, you don't need another campaign game. You don't. I'm not here to tell you just to buy stuff. I'm not here to tell you to buy stuff. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to inform you. And I will tell you, this game is expensive. It's like $220. It's a lot, bro. It's a lot. I bought one. They sent me one. So I just had it. It was crazy. It's crazy. This is worth it. This is worth that. So let's talk about why. If you like games like Legends of Mana, Zelda, Link to the Past, Wild Arms, Tales of Symphonia, those types of games, even Final Fantasies like 5, 6, 7, that kind of thing, a little bit of tactics in there, that kind of stuff. This is your game. Literally, this is your game. I mean, ActRaiser. You remember ActRaiser? Anyway. So, dang, man, that is old. That just came out of me. ActRaiser. All right, anyway, ActRaiser 2 better. Anyway, what this game does is it does that top world thing, the in-world thing, and the combat thing so well. Okay, so top world part, you're traveling across these tiles. You get to pop them out. That's really cool, right? And on those tiles, you're trying to like discover lands. You're discovering lands. It's the more chill, relaxed part because you're in adventure mode. You flip in there and then you zoom in. You zoom in to the tiles, and these tiles can be big, small, long, tiny, okay? So when you go there, you're going to see a village or wherever you are. You've zoomed in and you go into the land, just like in a video game, like where you click on the land and you go, and then you go in there, right? This place has tiles that go on top of the tiles, and they're just cardboard, but like they're just paperboard. But you are like taking them, and when you walk in a door, you flip it over, and then you're inside the room, and then it unlocks different things. It's a really smart system. It gives you enough theme and enough reading to do on the back of the tiles before you flip them over. They're not tiles, I'm just saying that. On the back of the boards before you flip them over. Really interesting little way to show stuff. It's got a ton of cards. The cards have themes. You have roll checks on them. This game can be played true solo, so it feels you get to develop that character. Oh, I should just jump off the side here. The character development is absolutely amazing. You're going to have these characters that you choose paths on. There's 6 paths. You got roguey stuff. You got, your ranger, your fighter, but you also have bards. You also have arcane. You also have the healer paladin person, and they all kick butt in their own way. You can even develop them in a certain path, and they have tiles where you can develop a path, and you can unlock the abilities of them. So you don't just unlock the ability, you have to unlock kind of have an awakening of that ability. It's a really interesting thing here. And You also add to your stats, and you have like an interesting catch-up mechanic to adding to your stats. It's really, really smart. Makes you feel good for like adding a stat later on in the game because it kind of ramps it up to it instead of just starting from one every time. Love that. I love that about this game. Character development on point. You even have your own little story depending on your race. You get to put your own little race head on top of it, man, woman, put it on top of the little body. They have different little action poses for the different characters, so you get to see the cool little thing there. There's a lot of interesting stuff just with that. So let's go ahead and just get down into the combat though. So when you get to combat situations, you're going to have these different character cards, and the cards have jewels that you're going to be putting on them as you attack them. Now, how you attack is you're going to select the actions, the pieces that you have, and they have attack patterns. It has a D20 roll system. You roll the die. You're going to use that you're going to compare that to the patterns that are on there. The enemies have patterns and your weapons have patterns that go like this. They go diagonal, they go, down here, or they even have skills and abilities that will go on specific spots or represent shooting through some of the shields and stuff that characters will have. So then you're going to be putting the gems in kind of a puzzle-like way according to how you're attacking those people. And you're also going to have to deal with shields. Now, the interesting part on top of that is if you go through a pattern a certain way, you get like a critical hit across that area. So you can get like an extra hit in there. So it makes you feel really smart, but there's also this kind of puzzly challenge on what you're going to do and how you're going to attack. So the timing and the teamwork of that is pretty awesome. That is a little different when you're playing strictly solo. I played two-handed, went to three-handed, having a hell of a time. It's on my table. It's been on my table for almost a month now. I've just been playing the hell out of this game. So people are starting to get this game. You're going to get, I know you. Look at me. Look, you know what? Look at me. I'm going to stand over here. Okay, look at me. Here we go. You're going to buy this game. I know you. You don't even need another. You got Elder Scrolls coming. You haven't played Nanolith. You haven't played, you haven't played any of your, so you didn't even play your Deep Rock Galactic. You forgot to play that. You haven't opened Primal. It doesn't matter. Probably getting Freedom 5. You have not played all the campaign games you have, but you know what? You're going to buy this one anyway. You're going to buy this one, okay? So we already know that, okay? So it's okay. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. And just buy the dang on game. I know you. Anyway, so Arydia has that good sense of adventure. I will tell you, there's a lot to unlock, and you don't see it right away. That's my spoiler for the game. Every path, every skill, every path that you have in the game, which just means class, has their own treasure chests that they will pull out of. There's general treasure chests, but there's this own treasure chest that they get to pull out of and get weapons and items and things like that to buff themselves. So that's a really fun little doo-doo-doo-doo kind of thing. If you know what that sound is, let me know in the comments below. Anyway. But there's that feeling too. So you get that little toy surprise inside. And like I said, things expand during the game, even where you travel, all that stuff. And they have that, they just kind of thought of everything. There's just that true sense of adventure, that true video game feel, and just the absolute joy of seeing more and wanting to know more. You get jobs. You can go to town. There's a job board. That's so video game. That's so Fable. Remember like Fable? Skyrim, something like that. That's what this game does. It just has fun in spades. It's fun in spades, adventure in spades, all that stuff. Definitely check out Arydia. I'm not telling you to buy it, but I'm telling you it is. I have the highest recommendation for this game. Full-on review coming up because it's not without flaw. There's definitely some of that D20 and some D20 is just hit or miss, right? Sorta. But that there's a little bit of fiddliness with how you do the attack gems and stuff like that. I'm going to be honest with you, it's really just not that much wrong with this game at all, honestly. Review spoiler, it's great. Give it a look, okay? And with that goes the end of Solo Chat. Usually I have a topic, but today I just kind of wanted to highlight some games I've been playing for 2025 to start out in the end of 2024 because I haven't been in touch with you for a while. It's been a while. Sorry about that. And hopefully you got an idea of what's going on out there. What games are good for you? Let me know what games you've been playing. Big, small, doesn't have to be the biggest Euro, doesn't have to be the tiniest card game, but I want to hear about them all. What button shy games have you been playing lately? I mean, anything, right? Any games you've been traveling with, any medium weight Euros, games under the radar. Let people know in the comments below and let them know why you love them. There's a lot of questions I've asked in here. Hopefully you answer at least one of them. Feel free and like if you like the content, okay? Subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. All right, folks. I didn't mean to make that rhyme and sound silly, but I want to thank you for your time. You take care, party people. Have a wonderful day. See you next time. Watch the reviews. Watch our content. Take care.